stared at the screen in her small office on Nexus Prime Station. The numbers made no sense. She checked them again, running the diagnostic for the third time in an hour. Every result came back the same. Earth was silent. No radio signals, no data streams, no communication channels, nothing. She leaned back in her chair and felt her chest tighten. Earth never went silent. Humanity was loud, messy, and constant. They filled the airwaves with everything from government broadcasts to entertainment shows to personal messages. The noise from Earth was so predictable that other species complained about it at council meetings. But now there was nothing. Pulled up the timeline. The silence had started exactly 18 hours ago. One moment Earth was transmitting normally. The next moment complete darkness. No warning, no explanation, just silence. She stood up and walked to the window of her office. Outside, the massive space station rotated slowly, giving her a view of distant stars. Somewhere out there, hidden among those lights, was her home. Was her brother still alive? He worked on Luna Base, Earth's moon. Had something happened to him too? Her door chimed. Turned to see Ambassador Myra entering. Myra was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. She had been mentor when first joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago. "You have seen the reports," Myra said. It was not a question. "Earth is gone silent," replied. "We need to investigate." Myra's face showed something that looked like sadness. "The Council has already discussed this. High Counselor has made his decision." "What decision?" "No investigation. The Council believes humanity has destroyed itself. They say it was expected." Felt anger rise in her throat. Expected, what does that mean? Myra walked closer. "You must understand. The Council has watched humanity for many years. Your species fights wars. You damage your planet. You argue with each other constantly. Many Council members believed it was only a matter of time before you destroyed yourselves. So they will do nothing," could not keep the anger from her voice. "The Council has declared Earth a dead world. They are already discussing how to divide the resources of your solar system among other species." His hands formed fists. "My brother is there, my family, billions of people, and the Council will just abandon them." Myra's 4 hands reached out in a gesture of sympathy. "I am sorry, truly. But the Council has rules. They cannot risk ships and resources on what they believe is a lost cause." After Myra left, sat in darkness for a long time. She thought about her brother. He was older by 3 years and had always protected her. When she left Earth to join the diplomatic service, he had smiled and told her to make humanity proud. Now she might never see him again. She could not accept that. She would not accept that. Accessed her private terminal and began typing. She had a small probe that she had been saving for personal research. It was not much, but it could reach Earth. It could send back data. Maybe it could tell her what happened. She programmed the probe and launched it secretly from one of the station's lower docks. It would take 2 weeks to reach Earth. 2 weeks of not knowing. 2 weeks of hopping. The next day, attended a council meeting. She sat in the human delegation section, alone. There had been 5 human diplomats on Nexus Prime. The other 4 had left on various missions before Earth went silent. Now was the only human representative in the entire galactic government. High Counselor stood at the center of the chamber. He was a massive creature, almost 3 meters tall, with thick gray skin and small eyes. He spoke in a deep voice that echoed through the room. "We gather today to address the unfortunate situation of Earth," he said. "It pains me to report that humanity has apparently met its end. This serves as a warning to all young civilizations. Technology and progress without wisdom leads to destruction." Wanted to shout at him. She wanted to demand that he send help, but she knew it would do nothing. The Council had made its decision. "We will observe a moment of silence for humanity," continued. "Then we will discuss the proper distribution of Sol system resources." The chamber fell quiet. Aliens from 100 different worlds bowed their heads or made gestures of respect, stood and walked out. She could not listen to them pretend to care while they picked apart her home like scavengers. Over the next 13 days, barely slept. She spent every moment monitoring her probe's progress. She ignored messages from other council members. She ate only when her body demanded it. Nothing mattered except that probe. On the 14th day, the probe entered the Sol system, held her breath as data began streaming back. The first readings made her gasp. Energy signatures, massive energy signatures everywhere. But not the kind from destruction. This was controlled energy, focused, intentional. Then the probe sent visual data. Screen filled with an image that made no sense. Around Earth, around the entire solar system, there was a barrier, a glowing sphere of energy that covered everything from the sun to the outer planets. It was not natural. Someone had built it. Someone had sealed Earth inside. Before it could process this information, the probe's signal changed. It was being pulled toward the barrier by something. A tractor beam. The probe tried to resist but could not break free. It moved faster and faster toward the glowing wall of energy. Then the probe passed through the barrier, and for a brief moment saw something impossible. Ships. Thousands of ships. Massive construction yards floating in space. Structures around Earth's moon, around Mars, throughout the asteroid belt. Her probe's camera captured images of vessels larger than anything the Galactic Council had ever built. Then the probe's signal died. Sat frozen in her chair. Her mind raced with questions. What was happening in Sol's system? Who built those ships? Was humanity alive? Was alive? She knew what she had to do. The Council would not help. They would not believe her even if she showed them the data. They had already written humanity off as dead. So would go alone. She began making plans. She had access to a small scout ship used for diplomatic missions. She could take it without official permission. It would take 3 weeks to reach Earth, but she had to try. That night packed a small bag. She did not bring much. Just some clothes, some food, and a picture of her and from when they were children. In the picture, they were smiling on a beach somewhere on Earth. The sun was setting behind them, painting the sky orange and red. She looked at that picture for a long time. Then she placed it carefully in her bag and left her office for the last time. As her stolen scout ship left Nexus Prime Station, looked back at the massive structure. She was now a criminal. She had stolen Council property. There would be consequences if she returned. But none of that mattered. Somewhere in the darkness ahead, Earth waited, and would find out what happened to her home, even if it cost her everything. 3 weeks in a small scout ship felt like 3 years. Spent her days checking systems, reading old files about Earth and trying not to think about what she might find. At night, she dreamed of her brother. In some dreams, he was alive and smiling. In others, she found him dead among ruins. She woke up from those nightmares sweating and shaking. The scout ship was not built for comfort. It had a pilot's seat, a small sleeping area, and basic supplies. Everything was cramped and cold, but did not care. Every hour brought her closer to answers. On the 20th day, her sensors detected something ahead, the energy barrier. It appeared on her screen as a massive sphere surrounding the entire Sol system. The readings showed power levels that should not be possible. Whatever was generating this barrier had access to technology far beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed. Slowed her approach. She did not know if the barrier would let her through or destroy her ship. She thought about sending a message but decided against it. If whoever controlled the barrier wanted to stop her, they would. If they wanted to let her pass, they would. Her message would change nothing. She was 1 hour from the barrier when her ship's controls stopped responding. Pulled at the steering controls, but nothing happened. Her ship was no longer hers to command. Something else was controlling it now. A tractor beam, just like what had grabbed her probe. Her ship accelerated toward the barrier. strapped herself into the pilot's seat and held on. She expected pain, expected the barrier to tear her ship apart. Instead, there was a gentle tingling sensation as she passed through. It felt like moving through warm water. Then she was inside, and what she saw made her forget to breathe. The Sol system was not dead. It was alive with activity. Everywhere she looked, there were structures. Massive shipyards floated in orbit around Earth. More yards circled Mars. The asteroid belt had been transformed into a huge construction area, and the ships, thousands upon thousands of ships. They were not small vessels. Each ship was the size of a city. They had sleek designs, covered in armor plating, bristling with weapons. They looked like nothing had ever seen in Galactic Council space. They looked deadly. Her tractor beam pulled her toward a large station orbiting Earth. As she got closer, could see details. The station was clearly military. Armed guards stood at docking ports. Weapons platforms covered every angle. This was not a place built for peace. The tractor beam guided her ship into a docking bay. When the doors sealed behind her and air filled the chamber, unbuckled and stood on shaking legs. What was happening here? Why had humanity built all of this in secret? A voice came through her ship's speakers. It was speaking Korean, her native language. "Please exit your vessel. You are expected." Expected? How did they know her name? She opened her ship's hatch and stepped out. 10 soldiers in black armor stood waiting. They carried rifles and wore helmets with dark visors, but they did not point their weapons at her. Instead, they stood at attention. One soldier stepped forward and removed his helmet, gasped. "Hello, little sister," said. For a moment could not move. Then she ran forward and hugged her brother. He hugged her back and she felt tears on her face. He was alive. He was real. He was here. "I thought you were dead," she said. "I am sorry," replied. "I wanted to contact you, but orders said we had to maintain complete silence. No exceptions, not even for family." "What is happening here? What are all these ships?" His face became serious. "Come, Admiral Jin will explain everything." They walked through corridors filled with military personnel. Everyone moved with purpose. The station hummed with energy and activity. This was not a dying civilization. This was a civilization preparing for something. Admiral Jin's office was simple. A desk, some chairs, and a large window showing Earth below. The Admiral himself was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked like someone who had not slept properly in years. He said, "I am glad you are safe. Your brother worried about you every day." "What is happening?" asked. "Why did Earth go silent? Why are there so many ships?" Admiral Jin gestured to the chairs. "Sit. This will take time to explain." He activated a holographic display. It showed space beyond the galaxy. 40 years ago, our deep space sensors detected something, a signal coming from outside our galaxy. At first, we thought it was just cosmic noise, but as we studied it, we realized the truth. It was a swarm, a machine intelligence. They call themselves the Devourers. The hologram showed dark shapes moving through space, millions of them. "The Devourers consume everything," Jin continued. "Every planet, every species, every trace of biological life. They turn it all into fuel and material for more machines. They have destroyed hundreds of civilizations, and they are coming here." Felt cold when? "They will reach this galaxy in 18 months, maybe less. The Galactic Council needs to know. We need to warn them." Jin's laugh was bitter. "We did warn them, 40 years ago. 3 times we sent messages explaining the threat. 3 times the Council ignored us. They said we were being paranoid. They said we were trying to scare them into giving humanity more power. They refused to even investigate." "So you went silent," said, understanding now. "We had no choice. The Council would not help. They would not listen. So humanity made a decision. We would prepare alone. We cut all communications. We told the galaxy nothing. And we started building." Spoke up. Every human on Earth, Mars, Luna, everywhere in the Sol system made sacrifices. We stopped making entertainment. We stopped exploring space for fun. We focused everything on one goal, survival. Jin pointed at the window. 500,000 warships. That is what 40 years of complete dedication produces. Every man, woman, and child in the Sol system contributed. We mined asteroids. We built factories. We trained soldiers. We developed weapons, all in secret, all in silence. But why the barrier? Asked. A new voice answered, to hide what we were doing. Turned to see a woman in a white coat entering the office. She was young, with sharp eyes and quick movements. This is Dr. Jin said. She leads our science division. Nodded at, the barrier is a cloaking field. It makes the Sol system appear empty from outside. Anyone scanning from far away sees nothing. Your probe was able to detect it because it got close. But from Council space, we simply disappeared. We needed time, Jin said. Time without the Council interfering. Time without other species asking questions. Time to prepare for what is coming. Looked at the hologram again. The Devourers looked terrifying even as simple shapes. She imagined millions of those machines descending on Earth and shuddered. We have the ships, she said. Can we win? Maybe, Jin replied. But there is a problem. Throughout this galaxy there are ancient defense platforms. Old weapons built by civilizations that died long ago. If we could activate them, we would have a real chance. But they require authorization codes. Military codes that only the Galactic Council possesses. You need me to get those codes, said. Jin nodded. You are still a Council diplomat. You have access to areas most people cannot enter. We need those codes. Without them, even 500,000 ships might not be enough. The Council will never give them to me. They think humanity is dead. Then you will have to take them, said quietly. Looked at her brother, then at Jin, then at... They were asking her to become a thief. To betray the Council she had served for 5 years. To risk everything. But as she looked at the hologram, at the dark swarm of Devourers approaching, she knew there was no real choice. When do I leave? She asked. Jin smiled for the first time. Tomorrow, we will give you everything you need. Codes, equipment, contacts, and thank you. You might be saving more lives than you know. That night stood at the window in her temporary quarters, looking at Earth. Down there, billions of people worked and lived, not knowing that death was approaching from beyond the stars. They trusted people like Jin, like her, to keep them safe. She would not let them down. Returned to Nexus Prime Station 3 days later. Her official story was simple. She had gone looking for Earth, found nothing but the energy barrier, and came back after her supplies ran low. It was close enough to the truth that most people believed her. Most people, but not everyone. High Counselor summoned her to his office the day after her return. His massive form filled the chair behind his desk, and his small eyes watched her with suspicion. You took a Council ship without permission, he said. I had to know what happened to my home, replied. And what did you find? Nothing, just the barrier. I could not pass through it. Studied her for a long moment. How convenient. The last human in Council space goes on an unauthorized trip and finds nothing. I wonder if you are telling me everything. I have no reason to lie. Do you not? Humans have always been secretive, always plotting. Perhaps Earth's silence is part of some larger plan. Forced herself to stay calm. If you think I am lying, investigate yourself. Send a fleet to Sol system. Laughed. We have more important matters. The Council is preparing for the Trade Summit next month. We have real work to do, not chase fantasies about dead worlds. After the meeting, went straight to her office and began planning. She had 3 items hidden in her belongings. A data chip containing schematics of the Council vault, a device that could bypass security systems, and contact information for someone Jin said could help. The codes she needed were stored in the council vault, deep in the station's core. Only the highest-ranking members could access it. Had been inside once, years ago, when Myra took her on a tour. She remembered massive doors, laser grids, and automated defenses that could kill an intruder in seconds. Getting those codes would be almost impossible. Almost. Sent a coded message to the contact Jin provided. His name was, and he was not human. He was a security officer for the council, from a species that looked like large cats walking on two legs. According to Jin's notes, had a reason to hate the council. They met in a dark bar near the station's lower levels. Sat in a corner booth, his orange fur marked with old scars. He did not look at when she sat down. "You are Jin's contact," he said. It was not a question. "Yes," he said, "you would help. Help betray the council. Help steal their most protected secrets. That is a lot to ask from someone you just met." Jin said, "You lost your because the council refused to act. He said you understand what it means when they ignore warnings." His eyes flickered with anger. "My planet sent distress signals for 3 weeks. Pirates were attacking our settlements, killing civilians. The council debated what to do. They argued about jurisdiction and politics. By the time they decided to act, 2 million of my people were dead. I am sorry. Sorry does not bring them back, but maybe stopping the next tragedy will help." Pulled out a data pad. "I can get you into the vault's outer section, but the inner chamber has security I cannot bypass. You will need to do that yourself." "How much time will I have?" "Maybe 5 minutes before alarms trigger, maybe less. And if you get caught, I cannot help you. You will be on your own." "I understand." They spent the next 2 weeks preparing, memorized every detail of the vault layout. She practiced with the bypass device until she could use it in her sleep. Arranged for most of the security staff to be called to a fake emergency on the station's far side. The plan was simple, would get past the outer doors. She would move through the vault, locate the codes, copy them, and escape before anyone noticed. Simple, but not easy. The night of the attempt, barely ate dinner. Her hands shook as she dressed in dark clothing. She thought about the 500,000 ships waiting in Sol system, about the devourers approaching. This had to work. At midnight, she met near the vault entrance. He looked nervous, his tail twitching back and forth. "Last chance to back out," he said. "No, we do this." Used his security codes to open the outer doors. They moved quietly through empty corridors, avoiding cameras that had temporarily disabled. At each checkpoint, he used his authority to override security protocols. Everything went perfectly until they reached the final door. Behind that door was the inner vault, the place where the council kept its most dangerous secrets, military codes, ancient knowledge, information that could start wars or end them. "This is as far as I go," said. "The rest is on you. You have 5 minutes from when you open that door." Nodded and activated the bypass device. It hummed softly as it worked on the door's complex locks. Seconds felt like hours. Then the door clicked open. Inside, the vault was cold and quiet. Walls of data storage units glowed with soft blue light. Moved quickly, using the map in her memory to find the right section. Military protocols, defense systems, ancient weapons. There. She found the authorization codes and connected her data chip. Files began copying, 40%, 50%, 60%. The voice froze her blood. She turned slowly. Myra stood in the doorway, her mentor, her friend, the person who had taught her everything about the council. "What are you doing?" Myra asked. "I can explain." "You are stealing from the council vault. There is nothing to explain." Myra's 4 hands moved to the communicator on her belt. "I have to report this." "Please, Myra, you do not understand." "I understand that the person I trusted is a thief and a traitor." The data chip showed 80% complete. Needed more time. "The Devourers are real," said quickly. "Humanity detected them 40 years ago. Earth is not dead. We have been preparing. 500,000 ships. But we need these codes to activate the ancient defense platforms. The galaxy is going to die if we do not act." Myra's hand stopped at her communicator. "You expect me to believe that?" "Yes, because it is true. The Council ignored us when we warned them. They called us paranoid, so we prepared alone, and now we need your help." "Even if this is true, you are breaking the law. The Council has procedures." "The Council is run by cowards like who care more about politics than survival. There is no time for procedures." 90% complete. Myra's face showed conflict. "I want to believe you, but I cannot let you do this." Her hand moved toward the communicator again, had seconds to decide. If Myra called for help, the mission would fail. Humanity would lose its chance to get the codes. The galaxy would face the Devourers without the defense platforms. Pulled out a small weapon Jin had given her. A stunner, non-lethal but effective. "I am sorry," she said and fired. Myra collapsed. She would wake up in a few hours with a headache but nothing worse. Caught her and lowered her gently to the floor. "I am so sorry," she whispered. 100%, the codes were. Grabbed the data chip and ran. Alarms began blaring as she left the vault. Red lights flashed throughout the corridor. Was gone, already evacuated as planned. Sprinted toward the emergency escape pods. Security guards rounded the corner ahead. Fired the stunner, dropping 2 of them. She jumped over their bodies and kept running. More guards appeared. More shots fired. Her shoulder exploded in pain as an energy blast grazed her. She reached the escape pod section and dove into the nearest pod. Her fingers slammed the launch button. The pod shot away from the station just as a dozen guards burst through the doors behind her. Inside the pod, alone in the darkness of space, checked the data chip. The codes were intact. She had succeeded. But the cost was heavy. She had betrayed her mentor. She had assaulted Council security. She was now a wanted criminal throughout galactic space. There would be no going back, no forgiveness, no return to her old life. Her shoulder throbbed with pain, and she used the pod's medical supplies to treat the burn. As she worked, she received a coded message from. "They know it was you. High Counselor is calling for your arrest. The Council is voting to declare all humans enemies of the state. They are sending a fleet to blockade Sol system. You have maybe 2 weeks. Good luck. You did the right thing." 2 weeks. 14 days before a Council fleet arrived at Earth. 14 days before everything became infinitely more complicated. Programmed the pod's autopilot towards Sol's system and allowed herself to lean back. She was exhausted, wounded, and now branded a traitor. But she had the codes. She had given humanity a fighting chance. She looked at the data chip in her hand and thought about all the people who would live or die based on what happened next. The weight of it pressed down on her like a physical force. "Please be worth it," she whispered to the stars. The escape pod drifted through space for 11 days before human ships found it. When they brought aboard, she was weak from dehydration, and her shoulder infection had gotten worse. Doctor treated her immediately while Admiral Jin waited outside the medical bay. "Did you get them?" was the first thing Jin asked when finally let him in. Held up the data chip. Her hand shook from exhaustion, but her voice was steady. "Every code, every authorization, everything you need." Jin took the chip like it was made of glass. "You have given us a chance. Now we need to use it. The Council knows what I did. They are sending a fleet to blockade Sol system. They will be here in days." "Let them come," Jin said. "It is time the galaxy saw what humanity has built." 3 days later stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable. Her shoulder still hurt, but the infection was gone. Around her, dozens of officers worked at control stations, monitoring the massive fleet that surrounded them. She could see hundreds of ships stretching into the distance. And those were just the ones nearby. Thousands more waited throughout the Sol system. Commanded from the tactical station. He had been promoted to fleet captain, leading an entire division of heavy cruisers. When he saw watching him, he smiled. It reminded her of when they were children, playing in their backyard, pretending to be space explorers. Now they were the real thing. Council fleet approaching, an officer announced. 30,000 ships. They are demanding we stand down and surrender. Admiral Jin stood at the command chair, his hands behind his back. Open a channel. The change to show High Counselor. He looked angry, his gray skin darker than usual. This is the Galactic Council fleet. You are harboring a criminal. Surrender immediately and dismantle whatever forces you have gathered. If you comply, the Council will show mercy. Jin's laugh echoed through the bridge. Mercy? You offer us mercy. For 40 years we begged for your help. We showed you evidence of the coming threat. You ignored us. You mocked us. You declared us dead and started dividing our resources. And now you dare talk about mercy. You are outnumbered, said. My fleet will destroy you. Will you? Jin looked at his tactical officer. Show him. Across the Sol system, orders went out simultaneously. On Earth, massive doors opened in the ground. Ships rose from underground hangars. On Mars, vessels launched from hidden bases. On Luna, Jupiter's moons, Saturn's rings, and throughout the asteroid belt, ships appeared. They came from everywhere, filling the space around the Council fleet. 500,000 ships, the greatest armada ever assembled by a single species. They showed the Council fleet's formation breaking apart in confusion. Ships scattered, trying to maintain distance from the sudden appearance of so many vessels. Some fired weapons in panic. Human ships absorbed the shots on shields and did not return fire. This is humanity's answer to your mercy, Jin said. We asked for help and you refused, so we helped ourselves. Observe what happens when you leave people no choice. Captain Bin's voice came through the communications system. Wing 7 ready for launch. Just give the word, Admiral. Bin commanded 50,000 fighters, small ships designed for speed and precision. He was young, barely 25, but he had trained his entire life for this moment. Hold position, Jin ordered. No one fires unless fired upon. His face showed shock and fear. This is impossible. How did you build this many ships? 40 years of dedication, Jin replied. 40 years of every human working toward a single goal. 40 years of sacrifice. You thought we were dead. You were wrong. We were preparing. Preparing for what? For the Devourers. They will be here in 14 months, and when they arrive, humanity will be ready. Will the Council? Before could answer, every sensor on every ship suddenly screamed warnings. Something massive had just entered the galaxy at the outer rim. Energy readings spiked to levels that should not exist. It is them, Doctor said quietly. The Devourers, they are here early. They shifted to show long-range sensors. At the galaxy's edge, a swarm of dark shapes appeared. Thousands of them. Then tens of thousands. Then hundreds of thousands. Machine ships, all identical, all moving with perfect coordination. An officer's voice shook with fear. Initial count estimates 2 million hostile vessels. They are heading straight for Council space. The bridge fell silent. 2 million ships. The Council fleet had 30,000. Humanity had 500,000. Even combined, they were outnumbered 4-1. Watch's face on the High Counselor looked like he had aged 10 years in 10 seconds. This cannot be real, whispered. It is very real, Jin said. We tried to warn you. Now do you understand? Now do you see why we prepared? What do we do? You follow our lead, or you die, your choice. Jin closed the channel 2 and opened one to his entire fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Jin. The moment we feared has arrived. The Devourers are here. They come to destroy every living thing in this galaxy. Every man, woman, and child. Every species. Every world. They will leave nothing but machines and death." He paused, letting his words sink in. "For 40 years we prepared in silence. We sacrificed comfort, entertainment, and peace. We built these ships with our hands and our will. We did this because we knew this day would come. We knew that when the moment arrived, humanity would need to stand and fight." Another pause. "Today we ascend. Today we rise from hiding. Today we show the galaxy what humans are capable of. To the Council fleet, you are welcome to join us. To every species watching, remember this day. Remember that humanity did not run, did not hide, did not give up. We stood, we fought, we defended life itself." The energy in the bridge was electric. Every officer sat. Every face showed determination. "All ships prepare for jump," Jin ordered. "Doctor, activate the neural mesh." Nodded and began typing on her console. "Mesh online. Volunteer connections established. 2 billion humans linked to the fleet." His eyes widened. 2 billion. "Everyone on Earth, Mars, Luna, everywhere volunteered," explained. "They cannot fight directly, but they can connect their minds to our systems. It lets us coordinate perfectly. Every ship will move as if controlled by a single mind." Initiating Ascension Protocol, an officer announced. Through the watched the human fleet begin to glow. Energy flowed between ships, connecting them. The neural mesh was working. 500,000 ships becoming one organism. "The ancient defense platforms need 48 hours to charge using the codes you provided," Jin said too. "We need to hold the Devourers back until then. 48 hours. Can we do it?" "We have to," replied Captain Bin, Jin said. "Take your wing and engage the Devourer Vanguard. Show them what human pilots can do." "Yes, sir." Bin's enthusiasm was clear even through the radio. "Wing 7, follow me. Let us give these machines a welcome they will never forget." 50,000 fighters jumped into faster-than-light travel. They disappeared from sensors, heading toward the approaching swarm. Jin looked at the Council fleet, still frozen in formation. "High Counselor, are you with us or against us?" After a long moment, his voice came through. "The Council fleet will follow your lead, Admiral. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all." "No gods will save us," Jin said. "Only ourselves. All ships jump on my mark. Target is the Helix Nebula. We make our stand there." Leaned toward, "You should be proud. You made this possible." "I just stole some codes." "You gave us hope. That matters more than you know." The massive flagship Indomitable began to turn, aligning with the rest of the fleet. On every ship, millions of crew members prepared for battle. In their minds, they felt the neural mesh connecting them, making them stronger together than they could ever be alone. "All ships ready," the tactical officer reported. Jin stood and looked at the one last time, seeing Earth behind them. The blue and green planet where humanity was born, where civilization grew from caves to cities to starships. Everything they were came from that small world. "For Earth," Jin said quietly. "For humanity, for all life in the galaxy." He raised his hand. "Jump!" 500,000 ships vanished in flashes of light, racing toward the approaching darkness. Behind them, Earth began to glow as the defense platforms powered up, preparing for the battle that would decide the fate of every living being in the galaxy. The ascension had begun. The Helix Nebula burned with colors no human had words for. Purple clouds of gas mixed with blue light from dying stars. It was beautiful and deadly, the perfect place for a battle that would determine the survival of the galaxy. Captain Bin's fighter wing arrived first. Through his cockpit window he saw them, the Devourers, thousands of dark machines approaching in perfect formation. They looked like insects, all angles and sharp edges. Their hulls absorbed light, making them seem like holes in space itself. "All wings spread out," Bin ordered. "Attack pattern 7, do not let them group together." His 50,000 fighters split into smaller groups, each one diving toward the Devourer formation. Weapons fired. Space filled with energy blasts and missile trails. The Devourers responded, their weapons cutting through space with surgical precision. Ben rolled his fighter to avoid a blast that would have torn him apart. He fired back, his shots hitting a Devourer ship's engine. The machine exploded in silence. "One down," he said. "About 1,000,000 more to go." His radio filled with voices, pilots calling out targets, warning each other of incoming fire, celebrating hits, screaming when friends died. It was chaos, but through the neural mesh there was also order. Every pilot knew where every other pilot was. They moved together like a school of fish, attacking and retreating in perfect synchronization. The main human fleet arrived 10 minutes later. 500,000 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and immediately engaged. The scale of the battle was beyond anything in recorded history. Ships by the hundreds of thousands filling a space larger than most solar systems. On the Indomitable's bridge watched tactical displays showing ship positions. Green dots for human and council vessels, red dots for Devourers. There were so many red dots. "Enemy casualties at 3%, an officer reported. "Our casualties at 1.5%. That sounded good until did the math. 1.5% of 500,000 was 7,500 ships. 7,500 ships full of people, dead in the first minutes of battle. "They are learning our patterns," said from his station. "The Devourers adapt quickly. We need to keep changing tactics." Admiral Jin nodded. "Doctor, randomize attack sequences. Do not let them predict us." Worked at her console, adjusting the neural mesh parameters. Throughout the fleet, ships began moving in less predictable patterns. Some attacked aggressively, others retreated and fired from distance. Some moved in groups, others alone. The Devourers tried to adapt, but human creativity was infinite while their machine logic had limits. Hours passed, then a full day. Ships fought and died on both sides. The nebula became a graveyard filled with debris and frozen bodies. "Defense platforms at 40% charge," reported. "We need more time." "Then we give them more time," Jin said. "All ships maintain defensive positions. Do not let any Devourer ships break through toward the inner galaxy." But the Devourers had other plans. Their main fleet, the massive swarm that had stayed back, suddenly accelerated. 2,000,000 ships moving as one, heading straight for the human defensive line. "They are committing everything," said. "This is it." Jin stood from his command chair. "All ships prepare for full engagement. This is what we trained for. Hold the line." The 2,000,000 Devourer ships hit the human fleet like a hammer. The careful formations shattered. Ship-to-ship combat filled every corner of the battle space. The Indomitable shook as weapons fire hammered its shields. "Shields at 60%, an officer shouted over the noise. "Return fire," Jin ordered. "Target their command ships." The flagship's massive weapons blazed to life, firing beams of concentrated energy at the largest Devourer vessels. One exploded, then another. But for every Devourer destroyed, 2 more appeared to take its place. "Captain Ben requesting backup," the communications officer said. "His wing is surrounded." "Send reinforcements," Jin ordered. But even as he said it, he knew there were no reinforcements to send. Every ship was already engaged. Every pilot was already fighting for their life. Through the neural mesh, everyone felt it when Captain Ben's ship took a fatal hit. His engines went dead. His weapons stopped firing. Life support failed. "This is Ben," his voice came through the radio, weak but steady. "My ship is gone. I have evacuated my crew, but I still have one last move to make." "Ben, no," Jin said. "Eject, get to safety." "I am already dead, Admiral. My ship just does not know it yet, but I can take some of them with me." On the tactical display, watch Bin's dying fighter turn toward the largest concentration of Devourer ships. He was using his last bit of power to build speed, faster and faster, heading straight for their formation. "It has been an honor," Bin said. Then his radio went silent. His ship hit the Devourer formation like a meteor. The explosion destroyed 17 Devourer vessels and damaged dozens more. It also created a gap in their lines, a weakness that other human ships immediately exploited. The bridge of the Indomitable was silent for a moment. Then Jin spoke quietly. "Mark him as a hero. Remember his name." The battle continued. More ships died. More heroes sacrificed themselves. The casualty count climbed higher and higher. 10,000 ships lost. 20,000, 30,000. "Defense platforms at 70%, reported. Her voice sounded tired. Everyone was tired. They had been fighting for 30 hours without rest. "How much longer?" Jin asked. 18 more hours to full charge." 18 hours. It seemed impossible. The fleet was being destroyed. Even with the Council's 30,000 ships helping, they could not hold much longer. Then something unexpected happened. The Council fleet, which had been fighting defensively, suddenly pushed forward aggressively. High Counselor's voice came through the radio. "Human fleet, this is the Council formation. We will hold the center. You focus on the flanks. We may have doubted you, but we will not let you fight alone." Jin smiled. "Thank you, Counselor. Welcome to the war." The combined forces pushed back against the Devourers. For 6 more hours they fought. Ships died by the thousands. The nebula became so full of debris that navigation became difficult, but they held. At hour 40, a new alarm sounded. A larger group of Devourers, ones that had been hiding in dark space, suddenly appeared behind the human fleet. A trap. "They are heading for Earth," said. "They are going to bypass us and attack the defense platforms before they charge." Jin looked at the tactical display. The defense platforms were at 90% charge, so close, but if the Devourers reached them now, everything would be lost. "I need volunteers," Jin said. 100,000 ships to break off and intercept. It is a suicide mission. Those ships will not make it back." The response was immediate. Every ship in the fleet volunteered, every single one. Jin's eyes showed tears, but his voice stayed steady. "First through 10th battle groups, you have the honor. Stop those Devourers. Buy us the time we need." Stood from his station. "First battle group reporting. We are ready." Grabbed her brother's arm. "No. Someone has to do it," he said. "And I would rather die fighting than live knowing I did not try." He hugged her quickly. "Tell Mom and Dad I was brave." Then he was gone, running to the hangar where his command ship waited. Watched him go, knowing she would never see him again. 100,000 ships separated from the main fleet. They jumped toward the approaching Devourers, positioning themselves between the machines and Earth. The battle that followed was brutal and short. The human ships fought with everything they had. They crashed their ships into Devourer vessels when weapons failed. They used themselves as shields to protect each other. In 45 minutes, every single one of those 100,000 ships was destroyed. Every single crew member died, but they bought the time needed. The Devourers were stopped, and the defense platforms reached 100% charge. "Platforms ready," said. Her face showed grief, but her hands moved steadily. "Authorization codes accepted. Targeting systems online. Firing in 3, 2, 1. Throughout the galaxy, ancient weapons that had slept for millions of years woke up. Massive platforms hidden among asteroids and dead planets powered on. They were relics from civilizations long dead, built to fight threats just like the Devourers. And now, with the codes had stolen, humanity controlled them all. The platforms fired, beams of energy powerful enough to crack planets lanced through space. They hit the Devourer swarm with overwhelming force. Thousands of machine ships exploded, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. The remaining human fleet, now only 400,000 ships, pushed forward. With the platforms providing support, they carved through the Devourer formation. The machines tried to adapt, tried to respond, but they could not fight on two fronts at once. For 12 more hours the battle continued, but now the tide had turned. The Devourers fell back. Then they scattered. Then they ran, jumping away into deep space. When the last Devourer ship disappeared, silence fell over the fleet. "Status report," Jin said quietly. "Enemy forces eliminated or in retreat," an officer reported. "Casualties, 127,000 ships destroyed, 400,000 operational ships remaining." 127,000 ships, millions of crew members, gone. The bridge was silent, thought about Captain Bin, about her brother, about all the people who had died to win this battle. The cost had been terrible. "We won," someone said. "No," Jin replied. "We survived. There is a difference." Messages began arriving from throughout the galaxy. Alien species that had watched the battle thanking humanity. Planets that would have died praising the sacrifice. The Galactic Council formally dissolved, with High Counselor personally apologizing for 40 years of ignoring humanity's warnings. A new Galactic Assembly was formed with humanity as a founding member, but refused the position of first speaker. She wanted to go home. 3 weeks later, a memorial was built in Earth orbit. 127,000 crystal pillars, each one representing a lost ship. They were called the Silent Guardians, honoring those who had fought without glory, who had sacrificed without expecting anything in return. Stood in a shuttle looking at the memorial. One pillar held her brother's name along with all the crew of his ship. She pressed her hand against the shuttle window, wishing she could touch the crystal, wishing she could tell one more time that she loved him. Admiral Jin stood beside her. He had aged 10 years in the last few weeks. "They saved us all," he said. "Every single one of them. We will never forget." "What happens now?" asked. "We rebuild, we heal, we prepare. Because somewhere out there new threats are already forming, and next time humanity will be ready." Looked at Earth below. The blue and green planet that had gone silent 40 years ago to prepare for war. That had sacrificed everything to defend not just itself, but an entire galaxy. "We will never be silent again," she said. "But if we need to, we know how to prepare in the dark." Jin nodded. The galaxy learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humanity. Never ignore our warnings. Never assume we are defeated. And if they forget, then we will remind them. The shuttle turned away from the memorial, heading back to Earth. Behind them, the crystal pillars caught the sunlight and glowed, a beacon visible from anywhere in the solar system. The Silent Guardians, standing watch over humanity's home forever. And in the darkness beyond the galaxy, sensors detected something new approaching. Another threat, 200 years away. But humanity would be ready. They always were. Earth would fall silent again if needed. And when the moment came, the ships would ascend once more.